Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV and an online interview update with Cameron Tymstra, the CEO of Tarachi Gold. Cameron, hi and good morning, and of course, congratulations.
Thank you, Jochen. Thank you for having me back on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was just like a positive shock for me some hours ago when I saw your news here, and here it's now late in the evening. That's why I wanted really for sure make sure that we can talk to each other, because 6.9 grams gold over 63.4 meters. That must be one of the best holes ever drilled in the last, whatever, I don't know, 10, 20 years probably?
I think coming out of Mexico, it's certainly one of the best gold holes so far this year in Mexico. Certainly the best hole that Tarachi has ever drilled. So we're very excited about that. It certainly surpassed our expectations and what we had seen previously in our other drilling last year. So we were really looking forward to getting these results back. And it's always a little bit of a surprise because we found with drilling in this location, it's very difficult to tell just from looking at the core when the geologists are first looking at the drill core, whether or not it's going to be a good intersection, because we haven't seen any visible gold in the underground drill core holes. So even in the intersection where we had over an ounce per ton across over 5 meters, there was no visible gold seen in there. There's very little sulfide minerals associated with the gold mineralization, which is often sort of an indicator that you're in a good area. So it's always we kind of have to cross our fingers and wait for the lab assays. So we were pleasantly surprised when we got those back.
Yeah, I can imagine that. And as I said, I mean, those 63 meters with almost 7 grams gold, but you still have also some other intercepts here. What I see from your table here, almost 14 meters with 17 grams gold. I mean, that's also outstanding, right?
Yeah, that's fantastic. And it's nice to know that the area that we're drilling, like so many other places, particularly in Mexico, you see a lot of these high-grade drill holes, but they're typically targeting something that's only half a meter or less wide. Sometimes even just like a little vein that's a foot wide, and they kind of smear the grade across a bigger intercept. But what we're seeing is the gold is not concentrated in little finger veins or small veins, but is a little more widespread. And I mean, my background isn't in geology, it's in mining engineering, so I always want to look at things from a more practical sense. And so it's nice to see grades over longer intercepts like this. Yeah,
absolutely. So question, as you have drilled this inside the La Dura mine. So at what depths is it, and have you drilled already from underground, or was this from surface?
So all the drill holes that we've released so far from the La Dura mine, both in this press release and in the ones from last year, those have all been drilled from the underground workings that are there, but they're not deep workings. I mean, this is more of an artisanal mine. It's not, wasn't a commercial mine in the past, probably mostly mined by hand. And so we could enter, just walk right in from the adit, and then the drill station was about 5 or 6 meters below the entry. So the total depth where the actual drill pad is right now was probably maybe only 20 meters, 25 meters from surface at most. So this is pretty shallow drilling, which is great to see. And the topography seems to sort of slope down to the south. And we believe that this mineralized body that we're chasing also plunges to the south. So we expect it to remain pretty close to surface.
Okay, super. So that means that maybe if you keep finding that shallow grades, that could mean even that it's open pittable.
Certainly, with grades like this, we could certainly justify a strip ratio, and with it's this shallow, I would think that would be possible, yeah.
Okay, super. Before we come to a possible production scenario, because that would be also one of my questions, I read in your news release that hole JAB 2109, which was drilled to the southeast, shows evidence of this with its multiple higher grade sub-intervals, including more than 1 ounce per ton of gold over 5.6 meters.
That's right.
What does that mean? I mean, this is also crazy, right?
Yeah. Well, what we've seen both in the channel sampling that we did last year, where we took a channel sample right across the working face of the mine there running north-south, and that ran for about 65 meters. That also had very similar length and total grade to the drill hole number 9, which is great to see that continuity. But we believe that the higher grade gold is sort of concentrated in more east-west running chutes. And so that channel sample that we did would have cut across a bunch of those, and we saw that in those assays. And then this drill hole as well, drill hole 9, drilled to the southeast, that sort of went, we tried to drill it with the down dip of the mineralized body. And so it looks like it also cut across some of these higher grade chutes.
Okay, super. So then I saw also in the news release, what I really like is that the combination of channel samplings and 2 rounds of drilling demonstrated a strike length of over 100 meters of high-grade mineralization that remains open along strike to the south and down dip to the east. So what do you have to do now, let's say, its next steps to bring this up to, I don't know, to a kilometer strike length or whatever? Because 100 meters is not enough to make a mine for sure, yeah? And of course, we don't want to have this as a one-hole event, right? we see many more holes like that, right? Or want to see.
Of course, that's the plan. And so the next step for us is we've since removed the underground drill from the underground workings, south more than just this 100 meters, and we can step our way down and continue to add strike length. Those holes have since been completed. The assays or the material has been sent to the lab for assay. So we're certainly waiting to get those back. And not only will that kind of show some continuity in the gold grades, hopefully, but also give us a better understanding of the true thickness of the mineralized body. It's very difficult to see either from the drill core or from the drill chips from the RC drilling exactly where the unit begins and ends, because it's all just sort of whitish gray, heavily silicified material. What we do see in the main mineralized zone that contains these good gold grades is a slight increase in a bit of hematite staining, so a little bit of red staining sometimes, and some additional fracturing and rehealing of the silica in there, kind of representing perhaps multiple pulses of fracturing and silica intrusion. But again, it's very difficult just to see from the core. It's not like a white quartz vein and a black host rock, and you know if you're in it or out. So this surface drilling with the RC rig that's more designed to cut across the actual mineralized panel will give us a much better understanding as well of what the true width is.
Okay, so how many more holes you think you have to drill? How many more meters? And also, do you plan to go much deeper with the drilling? Because I could imagine with those, let's say gently down dipping systems, I can imagine that maybe 200 meters below, 300 meters below the surface, there's maybe more.
Yeah, we'll be doing that with the surface RC drilling once we come back for another phase. Right now, our geology team is just finishing up some of the tailings drilling that they're doing at our Magistral property, and we can talk a little bit about that later.
Yep.
Then they're going to be going up to our San Javier concession, which is in sort of our northern block of Tarachi mining concessions, to do a small phase 2 program there, following up on some of the mineralized breccia systems that we found there at the end of last year. And then by then, hopefully, we'll have all the assays back from the RC program, and we can plan to go back to the La Dura Mine and the Jabali concession to continue drilling and hopefully find more at depth as well.
Okay. Magistral del Oro, you named it already. This is a tailings project, which I understand, if successful with the drilling program, you could go there quite fast into production, right?
That's right. We're making some great progress there. We acquired Magistral just a little earlier this year. That facility is a 1,000 ton per day facility that was custom made to reprocess these high grade gold tailings that we have on site there. And we estimate that those gold tailings have a grade of just over 2 grams per ton, and that there's probably around 1.3 million tons sitting there. So the first thing that we're doing right now is we're actually drilling that tailings basin with an auger rig. That's going to give us the material that we need to run assays to complete 43-101 compliant resource estimate of the tailings, because right now we just have historic estimates. And also to provide some bulk composite material that Asenco Engineering, who's been engaged to do preliminary economic assessment for us, they can do some more metallurgical test work with that material to determine whether or not the existing facility has like the best and most efficient flow sheet, or whether or not we can make some modifications or some improvements there that could potentially increase gold recoveries or bring down operating costs.
Okay, let's speculate for a second, and this is a forward-looking statement for the regulators. So I really force now Cameron to say something about a possible future. Yeah. Now let's assume things go the nice way, not the perfect way, the nice way. When do you think you could produce the first gold out of the tailings?
Our game plan right now is to complete that PEA by midsummer, and then to use that to determine what modifications we have to make, get those done in the second half of the year, complete our permitting in the second half of the year, because this facility was a fully permitted facility. So there is an existing operating permit and tailings storage facility permit. The tailings one was suspended, so we have to do a bit of work there to get it up to code and have that permit sort of reactivated. We expect to be able to do that by the end of this year. And if things, like you said, things go nicely, our plan right now is to bring the facility and start commissioning it, bring it online, producing gold in the first half of next year.
Wow. So we talk about 12 to 15 months. I love that.
That's correct. Yeah.
That's fantastic. It's also, I'm a shareholder too of the company. I should say that also. That's great. No, fantastic. Glad to hear that. When you look at the historical resource estimates, and let's take a conservative approach. What could you imagine could be produced out of those tailings? Do we talk about 10,000, 50,000 ounces, 100,000 ounces total, or do you say no, maybe we can produce, let's say, per year 10 to 20,000 ounces? Is that something which is realistic?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're looking at the facility should be produced around 1,000 tons per day. Given the grade of just over 2 grams and some of the historical metallurgical test work was done, suggests that we should expect at least 70% gold recovery. We would expect about 1,300 to 1,400 ounces of gold produced per month once at full capacity. It's about 15,000 ounces
600. Nice.
Ounces a year is what we're looking at. And the resource that's sitting there now, we estimate that should provide feed for just a little under 4 years. But we are looking at acquiring some additional tailings material in the area that could potentially sort of extend that life by another 1 or 2 years. And the Magistral project really represents sort of a foothold for us in this part of Durango. It's an area that hasn't seen much modern exploration in recent years. The old mines that actually produce these tailings are located pretty much right next door. I think the old shaft is just a few hundred meters away from the actual tailings material. And we estimate that they produced probably close to 1 million ounces of gold there in the past. Well, and they shut down sort of in the early 1960s. And there's been very little to no exploration done of any kind since then. We don't own those mining concessions, but we're certainly looking into them. And for the only people that own a processing facility in the area, would be
what would be a conservative estimate all-in costs per ounce produced out of the tailings? And I mean, really conservative.
I would say about $1,000 an ounce. The great thing about tailings is we don't have to do any drilling and blasting. We don't have to do any really crushing and grinding. We don't have to strip any overburden material or take anything up out of a mine. Where one of our biggest costs is going to be is the consumption of cyanide. And that's because there's the presence of some cyanide-soluble copper in this tailings that we have to deal with, and it'll have a tendency to consume a lot of cyanide in the process. So one of the things that Ausenco Engineering is going to be looking very closely at when they do this metallurgical test work for us is finding ways that we can maybe remove some of that copper prior to cyanidation, or find ways to prevent it from being dissolved into the solution, which could dramatically drop down our operating costs per ounce by reducing how much cyanide we consume.
So that means if I take current gold price today of 1,800, and I'm sure until you go in production, it's even higher, but let's stay also here conservative. That would mean on a 15,000 ounce base, we talk about $12 million free cash flow.
Yeah, we're trying to look at,
let's say not free cash flow, but just some taxes
before tax cash flow.
Let's call it 10 million. You can easily make out of that per year, and you have today a market cap of approximately approaching 30 million. That's quite good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. That's why we're very excited about this project, and we don't expect it to cost a lot of money to put into production as well. The facility's been sitting on care and maintenance for a couple of years now, but it's all like new. We went to visit it in January, and the ball mill's never been used before. A lot of the equipment has never actually even been used. It was sort of built and then put on care and maintenance before it actually had an opportunity to produce any gold. So they've done a good job taking care of it, and we're pretty excited to have this asset, and hopefully Ausenco will come up with some ways that we can maybe make some modifications and improve gold recoveries.
Okay, super. So that would mean then, if we spin now the story a little bit further, let's assume also that you are really successful with the drillings you have done at La Dura, but also you move on now, as you described already, and you would be successful there. Could you then, let's say, enlarge the processing plant and use the La Dura fresh ore to process it?
Well, the La Dura project is in the Sonora state, and the Magistral one's in Durango.
Sorry,
they're a little far apart.
Now I mixed it up. That's right. I'm so excited. I'm sorry.
No, but we do have great neighbors at the La Dura project. I mean, Alamos Gold's Mulatos mine is only 6 kilometers away.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, the road that goes to their mine crosses the Jabali project and goes right by the La Dura mine. So we're certainly in a great neighborhood, and not only do they have their main Mulatos pit there, but they're also developing their Yaqui Grande deposit, which is just about 5 or 6 kilometers south of La Dura. And that's a project that has, I think, over 750,000 ounces in all of the resource and reserve categories. So it's great to be in elephant country, and it's nice to know that there are neighbors nearby with operating facilities who might potentially be interested in a project like this as well.
Fantastic. Last question, but also very important, as you are spending money by today now. So what's cash in the bank? Are you financed, let's say, by the end of the year to fulfill all your programs?
Yeah, we're pretty well financed right now. We have just under $3 million in the bank. So we're well financed to continue with our PEA efforts at Magistral, and getting that ready towards a decision on how we bring that into production, and pretty well financed to continue our sort of phased approach drilling programs at our Tarachi claims as well.
Fantastic. And last question, how much money would be needed to really restart in Magistral if successful?
Yeah, that's really going to depend on the results of the PEA and whether or not Ausenco, recommends some bigger modifications, or if we just kind of go with the same system. But we're hoping it's not going to cost more than a few million US dollars to bring into production. Like I said, the facility is already built, the materials right next to it, so we're pretty excited that it's going to be a low capex project.
Super, Cameron, thank you very much. It was a great update. It was even much longer than I thought. But again, congratulations really to those fantastic drill results. And I have a very, very good feeling that we talk very soon, because you have a lot of news flow coming up, right?
That's right. We're expecting some the results from our RC drilling that we did around the La Dura Mine as well. We should have those in the next couple of weeks. And then as we move the Magistral project forward as well, we'll have some more news releases related to that.
Super. So then we talk very soon. Thank you very much, Cameron. All the best. And please keep us hitting hard with such results. It would be great.
I'll try my best, Jochen. And thank you for having me on the show again.
Thank you very much. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, there was Cameron Tymstra, the CEO of Tarachi Gold, with this mega bombastic news today with fantastic almost 7 grams gold over 63 meters. And also things are moving extremely well forward. Still a lot of drill holes are outstanding here for the assays and for the labs. So a lot of news flow in the next weeks, and company is well financed with $3 million in the bank. And also the drilling on the tailings for the Magistral del Oro tailings project is going quite well. And yeah, from that side, I would say you really should check out this undervalued company, because it's just a 30 million Canadian dollar market cap. And for what they are doing and what is coming up here with a I would say high-speed path to production within the next 12 to 15 months, this is way too low. So nice opportunity. Thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Switzerland.